Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So this is part 3 in the series, Rent to Rent Remastered and how you should do rent to rent. So over the last couple of videos we have shown you what a rent to rent deal is and how to do rent to rent. Well, how to find a rent to rent deal. And I've explained why not to do it and why you shouldn't be doing it. But there is a caveat to that. I do rent to rent, and I believe it is the best way. I believe it is the second best way to make money in the market at the minute. Right, so before we get started, if you're enjoying these videos, you get any use out of them whatsoever, apart from me just rambling on, please click the subscribe button, click the bell, get notifications, and supposedly it helps you. I don't know. But anyway, so we went back in the last video, what is rent to rent? So rent to rent is where we secure a property from a landlord. So we'll go and find a landlord that's fed up of doing student lets normally, fed up of having to redecorate every year because the students trust place. We'll secure a deal with him. So we'll guarantee to pay his rent for the next 5 years normally, but that's obviously negotiable. We'll pay all his bills and we guarantee to give the property back in the same condition as what we took it from him, if not better. It's normally better. We'll then go into the property, we have to do a refurb on it because the students just trust the place and the landlord's sick of tidying it up. So we'll do a refurb on it, redecoration throughout, normally recarpeting, and we have to refurnish the whole property with all fire rated furniture. We'll then, at the end of this video, I'll show you how to do this. We'll then hand that property over to a social housing provider. So in the last video, part 2 of the series, I explained why not to do rent to rent. So that was, normally you'd go and find a landlord, do the deal, and then you'll put students in place and you'd manage them students and you're just taking that headache off the landlord. Or you'd turn it into a professional let and put professionals in there and manage the professionals, again taking that headache off the landlord. You'd get professionals in there, paying higher rent, and you'd manage the turnover, and hopefully because that property is a higher standard, you won't get as much turnover, you'll be able to charge higher rent and you'll make money. But there's a lot of risk involved in that, and I explained why you shouldn't be doing that in the last video. What we do is we'll tidy the property up, get it up to a nice, safe, secure, clean environment, so nice neutral colours, nice carpet, all the kitchens all been nice and cleaned and tidied and all the student mess is gone. We'll then put social housing lease in place on that property, which will guarantee our rent for the next 5 to 10 years. So our rent's guaranteed and we're guaranteeing the landlord's rent. Win-win situation. All we've done really is tidied that property up, introduced the social housing provider to the property, and we'll take a small monthly fee from that. Everyone's happy. It's as simple as that. I don't need to say any more. It's a very short YouTube video. There's obviously a lot of intricacies. So when you're doing a refurb, you can't just paint fancy colours on the walls or put grass on the walls or put TVs in the rooms. You're dealing with vulnerable tenants, so stuff has to be done a certain way. So down to, you can't have the same type of light fitting in the bedroom as you have in the communal lounge because the bulb might get swapped and stuff like that, and there's all sorts of stuff like that, but our team know that, they're the experts in that, so again that's pretty hands off. So obviously in the last video we spoke about having to guarantee the landlord's rent, and yours is not guaranteed, and that's a big risk because if you get a couple of voids then you're going to be losing money, you've still got to pay the landlord. So what we do is put a social housing lease in place. And that social housing lease is fixed and it's government backed for the next 5 to 10 years normally. So that's where the beauty of this is. Our rent is guaranteed. We haven't got to worry about voids. We haven't got to worry about maintenance. And we then guarantee the landlord's rent. Obviously at a little bit lower rate than what we get. So we can take that little bit of profit in the middle for our troubles of introducing the provider to the property, and we obviously did the refurb and we need to recoup those costs plus a bit of interest. So our rent's guaranteed for the next 5 years. We've got a 5-year contract with the landlord, but we can extend that to 10 years quite easily with the social housing provider. So if we renegotiate that term on that property, with a landlord at the end of those 5 years because he's very happy he's been getting his rent, we can just switch it over another 5 years and we've not done any refurb on the property this time because it's all good to go. Even more profit for us then. Win-win situation. Why would you do anything else? You don't need to be doing students or professionals, I don't believe, in this market. So obviously again in the last video we spoke about tenant turnover and void periods. If you've got a void period or tenants moving in and out very frequently, then you're going to be losing money. So 1, 2 rooms empty, you've still got to guarantee the landlord their rent. That room's going to be empty for a month, a couple of weeks to a month before you get any income. You've got to cash flow that. With ours, yes, we're going to have probably a month, maybe 2 months at the start. So while our team goes in and refurbishes the property, we then get the provider in and they pay in arrears. So that's a bit slow at the start, but once that's up and running, then we've got nothing to worry about throughout that duration. There's obviously exit clauses and stuff like that in some places, but very rare that happens. We don't have to worry about tenant turnover. Obviously, we house a lot of asylum seekers. There's more and more of them coming to the country every week that need houses, and the housing provider need to house them. So it's the provider that pays our rent, not the actual tenant. And the provider's guaranteed us that rent for the duration of that contract. So whether that property is empty or tenanted, doesn't matter to us. Bills and maintenance also covered by our provider. So again, something we haven't got to worry about putting Netflix in the room. We just don't need to think about it. So the provider covers all the bills, internet and everything like that, as well as the normal utilities that's paid. So what that allows us to do is take a smaller profit in the middle. We don't need to negotiate as hard with the landlord because we know we're going to get that profit. So normally you'd have to negotiate the landlord right down. So if you had a couple of void rooms or your bills went up, you'd still make some kind of profit. We know that's not going to happen to us, so we can take a smaller profit and the landlord's happier because they're getting a decent rent and the provider aren't spending millions of pounds every day on a hotel. We're about a third of the cost of the hotels, so they're saving, landlords winning, and we make a bit of profit in the middle. So it's all well and good saying just put a social housing lease in place. How do you actually find these leases? So we work with a few different providers. Government-backed ones are the best, obviously, because the government's paying you rent in essence. They're backing it. But we're also setting up a partnership with Supported Living Gateway. So that is a nationwide programme that joins housing providers, charities, people that need accommodation with people that want to provide accommodation. It's basically the right move for social housing and supported living. So if you drop me a message, we should be able to get you on that website. You can either find source property that people are asking for on there, or if you're obviously looking for property, there's a lot of people providing property on there and you can go and have a look at that too. So it's pretty simple. In my opinion, social housing, supported living is the best way to be making money at the minute, with inflation going through the roof, tenants having more and more demand on the property and more rights. The best way to do HMOs, in my opinion, is put social housing lease in place, which is going to fix your rental income, no voids, no bills, no maintenance to worry about, everything's hands off, headache free. First best way to make money, I would say, is deal packaging. So you can go and find a deal for an investor, put a social housing lease in place on that deal, and the investor will pay you a fee for doing that, normally about £3,000 to £4,000. Very good money. Not easy to do, but it is doable. Again, we can teach you how to do that. Thank you very much for watching. If you managed to get all the way to the end of this video, well done. You deserve to click subscribe.